living in, and there are some Indigenous people now that are totally assimilated. They want to go and pollute the. So it's even not a. It's not a. You know, I'm not trying to say that all Indigenous people are over here and all white people are over there, because that's just not the way it is now. It's not, and it's ideological. It's not racial, or it's not cultural anymore. Okay. So but I'm just saying that in a traditional Indigenous worldview would not do those sorts of extreme levels of violence to our earth. I mean, we're living on a dying planet. People are saying that we might have time to turn it around. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe we do. I don't know. Some days I say, yeah, we've got time to turn it around. Some days I say, I don't think so. You know, it's and I'm sad. That makes me profoundly sad. But even though there might not be any human beings here, but the Earth will still be here. You know, human beings have only been on this Earth for the shortest time. We are the youngest relatives here. That's what our teachers tell us. We are the youngest relatives here. We've done the most harm in such a very short period of time. If we go, maybe the Earth is better off. You know, it's human life is not the top of the you know. I mean, in a European construct, it's the manifestation of, well, God, really, that we are as human beings. But in our worldview, we're just a part of the circle of life. So if we destroy the circle, if we destroy our part in the circle of life, then maybe that's okay. I don't know. But I mean, I prefer not to do that. But you know, but what I think is that we and our teachings are, you know, for people that, you know, we our treaties here, our people here welcomed our relatives, because, you know, yeah, you didn't look like us. It didn't matter. I really believe that we tried to engage Europeans in a spirit of curiosity and interest and sharing. That was our way. That was truly the way that our people lived on this land. Because if we believed that other stuff, that we were equal to, you know, the other parts of the circle of life, then any of our people that really looked like us, I'm sure, would have been a part of that. But when but that was not reciprocated. That value was not reciprocated here, eh? And so, oh yeah, the other thing I was going to say is that there's been a pattern of an impulse or a desire or a belief that we need to be helped, okay? That missionaries believe that somehow that white people had to help Aboriginal people or Indigenous people, help us, like some benevolent imperialist, helping it's a part, I think, of the psychological damage that has been done to white people. I'm just letting you guys all off the hook. You don't have to help us. We don't need your help. In fact, your help has really messed us up. So stop it. But there's an industry based on that help.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah, you guys got it. And it's powerful, and it's institutionalized, and people are helping us to death, and that's got to change, and that's a part of the colonial. Those are really deep colonial patterns in terms of psychological and behavioral patterns, and you know, like I know today that the University of Manitoba apologized for residential school. And that would be meaningful to me if tomorrow they would change how they did education in this province, because they're still pumping out the same people. You know, nothing's changed. So what are they apologizing for? Because the system that created those people that ran residential school, that made the residential school, are still doing the very same thing in different institutional settings.
And now they're doing it to everyone.
They're doing it to everyone, but they're doing it. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not disagreeing with that, but they're for Indigenous people, they're still we still have people who are still operating from a very colonial ideology and having a negative impact on in terms of relationships. I'll give you an example. We have people, PhD people, graduating from university or social workers that don't know anything about Aboriginal people, yet they're going to work in Aboriginal people's communities, know nothing about us. I always think it's like sending somebody who can work on a car to work on a 747 airline. They wouldn't do that. But in terms of the human experience, because they believe in their superiority, then they can transfer that. You know, they have superior knowledge, they can transfer that to individuals and to tinker away with individuals. And I just think that it's more damaging. I'd rather have might not fly on it, but I'd rather have them work on as long as it didn't take off the ground, a mechanic work on a 747. I just don't think it's I think it's the human, it's a cultural violence. It's still genocide. It's still cultural genocide that's going on in this country. And I mean, and people would say, "Oh, that's not true." But look at the evidence. Look at the evidence that we have. There are all these institutions are chock full of Aboriginal people. Go to any jail in this province. Go look at child welfare. Go look at the hospitals. Go look at the law courts. These systems are fueled by Aboriginal people and our misery. They need us to be miserable in order for them to have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's working. It's kind of working for them, eh? But it's not working for us. And I believe in my heart and in my mind and in my spirit that we we are distinct nations of people. We have a right, even by their own laws, United Nations laws, a right to sovereignty in our own territories. Yet we don't even run our own school systems here. The French people have a school system, the Jewish people have a school system, the Catholic people have a school system, Mennonites have a school system, rich people have school systems, all the people have school systems. Indigenous people don't have their own school systems in an off-reserve situation. And even on-reserve situations, they're funded at a completely different rate but with a child who the funding formula is less than. There's active forms of discrimination in this country that people, again, it seems to be okay, just as long as it's an Aboriginal person that it's happening, or an Aboriginal community that it's happening. So we have people there, people say that, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think that the evidence is, if you can see it, if you're not blinded by all the cover up, that it's there, and if you don't blame the victims, that it's there. So I think that I think decolonization is the goal. That's basically what I think. We have to work on our own decolonization as Indigenous people, but our relatives that also have to work on decolonization as well. And that's a long, hard journey. That's not an easy thing. That's a hard thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And it requires real truthful, honest reflection. It requires, like I do believe that I'm not responsible for your decolonization. You are, we are responsible for ours, and we need to have leaders of there's not very many, eh? There's not many people. People don't even think about this. I know that you have worked on some of them, but do you think a lot of people generally out there?
I can't say I haven't. That's the best way to answer it.
So it's a big job, but it's gotta, if really, I don't know about, I know that people feel dispossessed. I know it's not even working for you. I go to yoga, and I know everybody's really miserable. Because they all look really miserable. I know, for God's sakes, they're all all in their own little thing, and they don't even, if I smile at people, they kind of get really shaky. I don't think that this whole system is working for most people. Hey? People, you can feel people's emptiness. That they got the car, they got the house, they got the kids, they got I like that little thing that you sent. It was great. They
got the computer.
But you can feel that they don't have purpose, eh? Their lives don't have purpose and meaning. Some people smoke up and smoke and get distracted in all these material ways. But I still, those are just cover up, and I do think that it'll feel good to decolonize. It's a liberation movement, and that's worth a try.
I think it's also the right to be. Like there's a Bill 57 that said that because we're white people, not First Nations or Asians, that we don't have the right to herbal medicine.
To what?
To herbal medicine or to natural medicines, when that's a medicine that is given to all of us by the Creator. And they tried to make a law saying that if you are not of Aboriginal or Asian heritage, that you didn't have the right to have natural medicine.
My response to that is that we're all Earth people, and that every culture had an Earth beginning, that they had their medicines, and they were from the Earth, and they were close to the Earth. That people can go back to that, and that as long as they're, for me, what really pisses me off is when I see our medicines for sale, and that people are trying to to make them a commodity. That bugs me. That really bugs me. But I know Aboriginal people that sell it. That really bugs me. I don't care who. That's what makes me mad. When we have when things become a business, when our culture becomes appropriated for personal
gain,
for a monetary commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what makes me. That's when I think it's being. That's when I think that people don't have the right to it in that way. But I think that Earth, it's our mother. It's all our mother.
That's
it's
right.
Not just my mother.
Exactly. We are all given natural medicines from around the world,
Everybody.
And they can heal anything and everything if we give it a chance. And to say that we can't use it because some guy in Ottawa doesn't think that we should be using it, yet we've been using it for the last 10,000 years to heal something.
Now, I don't know what you're referring to. I know that there's laws.
They tried